Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have with us a very special guest. He is the MD and CEO of Indonesia's largest fund, MDI Ventures, which is backed by the Telkom Group. In addition to managing more than $800 million of assets under management, Donald Wihardja is also instrumental in helping the government with the MERAPUTHI Fund, which is a government initiative to help startups across Indonesia. And he's also paved the way for MDI Ventures to enter into the crypto space by partnering with Binance. So clearly, Donald is a man at the center of all the action in Indonesia. Thank you so much, Donald, for joining us today. Thank you so much. Donald, just to start, can you just take us to the beginning? Exactly what prompted the idea to set up MDI Ventures in 2016, and what was MDI Ventures' competitive advantage as a CVC back then?
Thank you, Ashta, and thank you for the opportunity. MDI is not actually my first fund. I am the second CEO after Nico, who originally founded MDI. But even originally, MDI Venture is designed as the bleeding edge of Telkom. Telkom as a group is look on itself as the task of escorting Indonesia's technology, especially digital technology, and utilizing it across all state-owned enterprise and government purposes, right? As digital moves at a very fast pace, a small group in Telkom built MDI in 2016, right? At the rise of Indonesia's interest in wave of technology innovation, right? MDI itself was founded at that time as a startup, effectively, right? As a startup in partnering, borrowing, and then investing with startups. So, as in any CVC, it's a synergy and capital gain targeted company. At the same time, I am on another VC. We work very closely with the then Ministry of Communication, right? My company was Convergence at the time, and we tried to elevate the awareness of the Indonesian startup ecosystem. We visited and took all the soon-to-be unicorn at the time. It wasn't even unicorn, William, Nadim, Ferry. Took them to Silicon Valley in 2015, right? And managed to bring Pak Jokowi to Silicon Valley in 2016. At the same time, actually, MDI was there, right? So we got a full picture of me on one side representing a different VC, Pak Jokowi in the middle, and the representative from MDI on that side in Silicon Valley, all at the same time. We are the same batch. Yeah, it just happens to be that it took me until 2020 to join the MDI side.
No, Donald, I mean, you have multiple funds. You guys have a seed, Series A, B, and more than C also. So, what is your strategy of investing across different funds? If you can share that with us.
Yeah. So originally MDI, or we call them MDI 100, right, is in 2016, get 25 million every year until 2020. And we invested that in various companies in seed to Series B, right? As in any $100 million fund would do, right? And we have successfully invested that. We have successfully returned a significant amount of the money, but it's an evergreen fund. So our job is to keep on investing. So out of that, we splintered into two groups: a seed fund, now we call it Arise, and a Series A/B fund, we call it Centauri, right? And then in 2020, Telkom gave us another commitment for another 500 million, right? So that is our growth stage, right? And that's actually when I joined, right? So So now we have a fund strategy that spans across the life cycle of a startup. The seed and Series A, we're still there, right? But we also be able to continue to follow on a little bit more on Series C and above, or basically on valuation in 100 million and above. We still be able to continue with our investment, right? And our strategy is the same, right? We invest early, and we realize we need to invest early, yeah, to assist the startup that have a lot of synergy with Telkom, right? With state-owned enterprise. Now we have mandate to go across all the state-owned enterprise as well, right? And then at the same time assisting in their growth and ensuring our capital gain. Yeah, sorry, very personal goal there, right? But we also be able to identify which one of these founders, which one of these startups actually have what it takes. And it makes investment in subsequent stages easier. And coming from the inside, the easier comes in two ways, right? Number one is risk management. Yeah, of course, we know what's going on inside. Number two, it's a very competitive market, right? If you don't come in the seed, yeah, the seed investors kind of dictate or help the founders a lot. Yeah, the founders hopefully listen to the VC, yeah, and who they will choose for the subsequent one, right? So if we don't come in early, this opportunity goes to somebody else. We have competitors. My fellow investors from my batch way back in 2015, 2014, now raise hundreds million funds as well, which is great for the ecosystem, but it means a lot of competition from us. At the same time, we have successfully sold the Indonesian technology landscape to the rest of the world. So great, that effort for the last 5 years was actually great. From Indonesia really gonna have 20 or 10 unicorns by 2020. Now, yeah, in 2021 itself, there's like 7 just minted, right? So obviously the thesis is there, and now we just have a lot of competition. I mean, all the big funds are here, right? So we have to be more than just money, and that's how we do it. A series of funds on different stages, run by different teams. They need to be able to understand their stage very well, but with a same mandate: invest and assist, right? Invest and synergize, right? And then help us pick the next one. At the same time, as we get more and more investment opportunity, we are also doing more funds with other state-owned enterprises, with other concentration. They're very focused on their own niche. So that's how we become so many multiple funds, but each has its own thesis, each has its own team, each has its own directions and opportunity.
Donald, what does it exactly give MDI, in terms of exposure and also the risk return profiles? Could you share some return profiles, across your funds?
Well, as with any startup, it's kind of biased, right? A lot of our funds are new, less than a year old. So I don't think it would be fair. I mean, according to KPMG, you can only value them at par. So, so those part. But our first 100 million, using mark-to-market valuation strategy, we are probably like 3.3 plus X, yeah, on our valuation. And we have a large DPI. We are very early on. We understand that we need to prove to Telkom all this paper about, what's your paper valuation. IFRS have not told them how to value that. So they just basically said, oh, okay, nice, very nice. You must be padding this somehow, right? So, so what happened in 2019 is we start exiting, right? Some of our best position we we see that they're no longer providing any synergy. We exit our position. We show Telkom that we can triple our investment, right? And then that's actually why we got the MDI 500, right? Now that it's no longer paper return, and then plus in 2020, IFRS have a unearned income, unrealized capital gain, and then the accounting kicks in, and then they realize, wow, okay, so MDI is not just making this up, right? There is actually KPMG that will be able to back them up. And Deloitte, sorry, thank you, Deloitte, also for your assistance. And we have to keep on doing that every year. Fully audited valuation across all our funds.
You know, Donald, you just mentioned about the mandate that you've got from, SOEs. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that mandate and, what's next for you guys also? I mean, I was supposed to ask this later, but I was just wondering, you just mentioned about touch this SOE mandate. What exactly is it? What are you guys planning for the Indonesian ecosystem working together with state-owned enterprises?
So I'm hoping that MDI has a trigger on this thing because we got our new fund 501 approved all the way from the state-owned enterprise, not just Telkom, right? But as MDI and our fellow corporate CVC, MCI, and BRI Venture start talking about their performance, our performance, as also the entire Indonesian government, thankfully to Pak Jokowi, who always said that digitalization is the next wave, how to bring Indonesia to Industry 4.0, right? So finally, it took a few years, but they got the message, right? It took basically Gojek transforming the landscape and Tokopedia as well, right? Now it's an undeniable thing that digitalization will impact everyone. And in state-owned enterprise means every sector, right? So it becomes a mandate as a strategy that that digitalization going to have to be part of each cluster, and we have 12 clusters, strategy going forward. Of course, there are interest in other state-owned enterprise group to also build corporate venture capital, right? But we know sometimes that goes awry, right? So Pa Erick Thohir mandated that yes, the SOE can build corporate venture capital, but please make it can only be run by the 5 state-owned enterprise who already have experience in running a corporate venture capital, right? So good thing is there are the concept of LP and GP and all that, right? So we can run, and we have done so. We have done the corporate venture capital for our sister company, Telkomsel, right? And we're looking across, and as our MDI 500 mandate is not just Telkom, but also healthcare, logistic, agriculture, and fintech. It crosses the domains of other state-owned enterprise. We can invest and we can bring those companies to partner with them, so they get to see what partnership with a startup can do in their digitalization strategy or in their technology strategy. Not necessarily all digitalization, by the way, right? So I'm not allowed to say which one, but you can imagine which one. But some of them have approached us and to discuss about running their funds as well, right? Very focused, sector focused, synergy and oriented, yeah. Sustainable, meaning there's a capital gain to make sure it's not just an expenditure, it's actually an investment, return money, but the investment must also return synergy, must also return partnerships and technologies that they can leverage to build on in their own each respective business.
Donald, just shifting focus to, your partners. You mentioned about, you have Telkom as your backing. You have Korean investors. You have a German fund also. How do you manage to generate, a synergy value to Telkom, to other partners? How do you guys manage this?
Well, our other co-GP are GP of VC, right? They are capital gain mandate, right? They fundraise from people. They have a lot more experience than we do in fundraising from external VC, external LP. Sorry, that's what we look up to them. And also because this fund has a more regional mandate, right? KB, of course, knows Korea market better, and they have been investing across the Southeast Asia region. So we can leverage their knowledge over there. Finch, of course, knows the fintech sector very well, and that's been his mandate, and he has Indonesian experience, but as well as bridging to the investors in Europe, right? And as well as investment in Europe. So some knowledge on that side as well, right? So the target of this partnership is expand MDI's role, originally as a CVC, right? But we need to expand beyond that and learn how to operate like other VCs operate, and also satisfy the interest of investors other than just telecoms, so that we can arm ourselves to be bigger, right? And at the end of the day, but we stay true to our mandate. Our core strength compared to all other VCs in Indonesia is our strategic access to the state-owned enterprise businesses, especially Telkom, but also others, right? We have seen one state-owned enterprise with their partnership with startup, right, generates tens of $millions of revenue just in the last 6 months of 2021, right? And they completely buy in. They got this now, right? We gotta invest because it makes a big impact on our bottom line, on our new products that we bring into market, right? So, yeah. But we partners, we know there are limitations to what we know, and we look forward to getting working together with our co-GPs to build a bigger platform. Yeah.
Donald, it's safe to say that your focus right now will be, of course, especially partnering with more on state-owned enterprises in the next 1 year or 2 years.
No, actually, both. So we are building a more platform to be able to be accessible and partners and run investments for other state-owned enterprise. But we realized that we also my policy on startup, right? I'm sure a lot of people have been asking here, why is Indonesian startup all like incorporated abroad and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, my answer has always been this: it doesn't matter where they're incorporated, whose money they got from, but the impact they bring is to Indonesia. The reason why we fight for Indonesian startup, yeah, is because Indonesian startups care about Indonesian problems, right? It's not about capital gain. It's about making transformative impact to the one country I care about, right? Indonesia, right? So I believe the problems we have is unique. And some of the solutions that come up from, and it's been proven, right? Some of the solutions that come up from stateside come over here. Didn't quite work like that. The one that's successful is the one that can localize to the local problem. And localizing to the local problem means solving the local problem. And that's actually what it's for. And so we are opening ourselves up with starting originally with our partnership with KB in Centauri and Finch in Arise, but getting more and more that to open ourselves to to accept money from other sources, right? Some like MERAPUTHI Fund exclusively only from Indonesian investors, but others will be from other external investors as well. Yeah, because we just need more ammunition to help more startups bring difference to Indonesia.
Donald, you just spoke about the MERAPUTHI Fund. It'd be great if you could just elaborate also on exactly the impact a fund like MERAPUTHI would have on the Indonesian ecosystem, and also how does it gel with how does it fit with MDI as such, and
Okay, so MERAPUTHI Fund is I think it's a few hundred million, right? I'm not quite sure exactly the amount that I'm supposed to be able to say, but you have seen it in the announcement from Pa Eric. Yeah, it's anchored originally by the 5 state-owned enterprise that already have a CVC inside them, right? But then we will then extend from this original few hundred million to double that by raising money from other state-owned enterprise and other Indonesian corporate, right? So that's the target. A MERAPUTHI Fund by Indonesian for Indonesian startups. It's very focused for Indonesian startups, right? It is at the size that is the next stage of where most of my CVC colleagues are at, right? So we can invest in a Series A and Series C, Series A, Series B, a little bit on Series C, but beyond that, most CVC can't lead around. MDI, slightly bigger, right? We can write check of 30 million, whereas about the same range as the MERAPUTHI Fund. But even that, for a round, it's 100 million. That's barely enough to lead. Yeah. And so we want to be able to use MERAPUTHI Fund. And so, sorry, we also have identified and escorted a lot of startups from seed to Series A, Series B. And by we, I mean, in this time, 5 of us. Yeah. And then not to be able to follow on significantly to lead the next round, it's a waste, right? And there's still a lot of startups that we have a better local understanding of why they work, right? And being able to fundraise from a local VC would help them be able to sell what their strength is, right? As opposed to try to fit into one of the international cookie cutter templates, right? So that's actually the intention of MERAPUTHI Fund. Provide the next round of ladders for the startups. Of course, to be able to escort them to all full unicorn, we need a few more ladders, right? Rungs in our ladder. So yeah, we will get there, but this is the first step, or this is the next step, I would say. The first step was the CVCs. Now this is the next step in the CVC evolution with a mid growth stage fund that we run together. Very safe. It incorporates all our insider knowledge. Of course, a good thing about being in VC, insider knowledge is a good thing, not the jail term.
Don, when are we expecting this fund to launch? And does it have any sort of, how does it fit with MDI in terms of, choosing the companies, and considering MDI will also has their own investments?
So yeah, it's as have been declared. We officially announced the soft launching over, right? We will get to be full close and ready to deploy. Yeah, sometime this month or next month, right? Because there's a lot of incorporations and permissions we need to acquire and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, God's willing, all be done by the end of this month or beginning of next month. Yeah.
Talking about the crypto space, recently you have had a strategic partnership with the Binance, the largest crypto platform, which has paved the way for MDI also to enter the crypto space. How are you looking at opportunities in this sector, considering crypto is the most talked about sector in the last 1 year? You've seen so much happening in this space. How are you seeing opportunities, and how does it gel with Telkom as such?
Yes. The Indonesian government, the Telkom especially, yeah, understood that crypto, blockchain, uh, and all securitized tokens, everything NFT, it's relevant. It's undeniably even more so nowadays, right? But exactly what it actual impact's going to look like, and the regulation that must follow to be able to use it safely, it's still up in the air, even among the experts right now, right? It ranges from an expert that says absolutely it's all bullshit to all the one that says it's the next wave in the future, right? So as an infrastructure provider, and I always think that MDI is an extension of Telkom as an infrastructure provider, a scout, technology scout for the Indonesian government, right? We need to understand what's going on, right? So our investment is our effort to build partnerships, to build understanding, to be in the inside of this entire ecosystem, so that we can escort them and assist the government, yeah, and the Indonesian businesses in general also, to provide them with infrastructure technologies that they can use, or that we can sell actually, yeah, to our other business partners, right? We are a technology company, or Telkom is a technology company at the end of the day, right? And a technology partner. So that is why we invest in this. That is why we are actively engaging with across all kinds of association, regulatory, and everything else. What's important to us is what we invest in is regulatory compliant, because we're not in this to just make the biggest buck, right? We're in here to build something sustainable, something acceptable and compliant, right? So it's a long road, and our partners understand that, right? And I think what we heard, we discussed this with Binance as well. This their intention as well. That their effort around the world is around making each entity locally compliant to the regulations and be able to stand, not be grounded, not just floating up in the air, no domicile, no regulation compliance or whatever, but be integrated with the financial ecosystem of every country, especially Indonesia.
Donald, when can we expect this crypto platform to launch?
It's I leave it to them, the experts, to figure that one. I don't second guess my entrepreneurs.
No, Donald, you just last few questions. You're talking about sectors. You guys have always been you bullish on health tech, fintech, SaaS, logistics. Is there a sector you feel that you really want to increase your focus on? And looking at sectors like NFTs and even ECG focused funds, is that something that you are looking at?
Yeah. So the crypto part is part of our interest in this, what we now label, the selling label is metaverse, right? But that encompasses blockchain technologies, cryptos, and AR, VR, etc. What that look like, we're still yet to find out, but we are looking at the best players across the technologies. Education also is a new mandate that we are exploring. I know we come a little bit late to that sector, but the company is starting to grow and to get to the point where also note that when we invest, we look also for a strong synergy angle, right? So we also would like to invest in later stage company that be able to have a ready to use products, a proven product that now can change the educational landscape, for example. Beyond that, I'm allude this a little bit. Originally, we are very digital centric, right? Everything we do is about the digital technology, digital technology. We're starting to remove that digital word from the MDI mandate, right? Um, when we talk about healthcare, it's not just digital health, but it's medicine, pharmaceutical, biotechnology. We have investment in synthetic biology, for example, right? Synthetic biology manufacturing will be something that we see will transform the next generation of what constitutes as manufacturing. So we have made investments as well there. So yeah, in other focuses, agriculture, not it has some digital angle, but actually really transforming the way we plant food and grow fish, etc. It's something we're interested in.
Donald, you guys have got 11 exits, if I'm not wrong, till now. What is your exit? How do you look at the landscape, your exit outlook on the exit strategy for investors such as yourself? How do you see that?
So we think exit has to be engineered, definitely, right? MDI is very aggressive, I would say, among our colleagues in terms of engineering our exits as well as our investments, right? Yeah. So we have 3 IPO out of that 11, and we have 2 more IPO in cooking, right? Not yet fully launched as IPO yet, but it's already filed and all that. So IPO is a significant strategy to us. But as I mentioned before, we are not a hedge fund. We are not a security house. Our knowledge is primarily on escorting the privately held venture startups, right? So we are looking for partners to allow us to liquidate some of that toward IPO, right? So that we have consolidate our principles and cost of funds and just use the IPO to realize the winnings, right? At the same time, we're also very synergy focused, right? Sometimes when the company we invest, we think will be great synergy, but it doesn't really materialize. Okay, yeah. Then we look at the opportunity to sell that. Yeah, even though the company is still growing, the company is still very good, right? And we definitely want to sell it when the company is still good, right? You know, you want to. You don't want to ride it all the way to the downside, or you want to ride it while it's going up. You sell it to the next, to other VCs that is better positioned to help them, right? Or that we also at 70 or so company, we need to refocus and make sure we can maintain the company and do assist still the focused company that we that still have we still have value added to them, right? Number 3, we're also working on a few deals where we would ask if Telkom would like to take over our shares on those companies, as well as in some cases, business units of Telkom, unlocking the value of business units of Telkom who have successfully done certain business, but basically, you know, they have the business, but they are not innovating and getting the next wave, right? And partnering them with a startup of similar line of business, but that has the key product that is growing rapidly. Now, merging those 2 companies together under the leadership of the startup, by the way, right, would allow us to unlock the value of the business that we have cultivated so far, and allow it to ride the aggressive strategy and aggressive growth of the startup, right? We're still going to be the shareholder of the startup unless Telkom decided that at some point, yeah, we are always open for Telkom to hold our shares instead, right? Yeah, but all our shares are minority shareholding held, right? So it's not designed to control the startup. We believe the startup should be free to innovate as they are. So we keep that policy in mind.
Donald, you mentioned two companies from your portfolio are looking at an IPO. Which ones now? Which ones have filed?
uh, Actually, yeah, it's public filed, right? So it's Credivo is looking at filing in the US, as well as uh, e-commerce.
Yes, yes. Donald, just to last thing on the, what's next for you in terms of new funds for MDI Ventures, considering, public markets have corrected, banks are down, valuations have, taken, are looking at changing compared to what it was last 2 years. What's the next plan for you in terms of new funds for MDI Ventures?
Well, in terms of the correction, it's yeah, it is what it is. It also I always think that challenges in the market challenge the startup and challenge the startup, shake them up and make them a better startup or dead, whichever way, right? It filters, so and then we know which one to invest, which one to keep on escorting, right? That's the journey of the venture, anyway, right? So now, before we've already told them that the pandemic tell them that they need to be unit economic positive. They need to create a business model. They cannot grow without a business, a proven business model, right? That is technically profitable, maybe at some other scale. And that's how they can fundraise despite the pandemic. Now, the correction also shows that they need to have path to profitability, right? It cannot be the day of unlimited fundraising is gone, right? So they need to, if they want to fundraise or even if they want to execute, they need to figure out, okay, yeah, what happened if there is no next fundraising? What is my path to profitability so that I can grow, still grow, but profitably and manage my cash burn, right? So that's always the good part. Now, so I got more mature startups that way. But on the questions about where to go from my next fund, the path of MDI, we have discussed this with Telkom, and Telkom basically says, okay, from here on out, experiment and growing with external investors. Get run funds run by anchored by other other state-owned enterprise. That's one part of it, right? But the other one is raise money not just from the state-owned enterprise, not just from Telkom, but from other investors, right? Now, well, we always look up to Vertex as our older brother, or and we hope to be able to navigate and grow where the path they blaze. Yeah, many people probably do not realize that Vertex once upon a time was Temasek's CVC, right? And has gone so much beyond that, and hopefully we'll be able to follow that path and be much bigger than where we are at.
Thank you so much, Donald. I think this was such a candid and insightful session. Thank you so much. But before we end, I just want to ask you three quick, fun, rapid fire questions. Let's do a fun game before we end on a lighter note. It's rapid fire with Donald. So whatever comes to your mind first. Maybe you can answer that. I'll ask you quick questions, and what comes to your mind first, maybe you can just give me one line quick answers to that.
Okay.
But let's start with that. The first thing. Okay, I'll ask you fast questions, and yeah, first thing is, what's Donald? What's the name one next unicorn from your portfolio, except the ones that you already said?
Si cepat.
Okay, a company you wish you had invested in the early days, in its earlier stages.
Zendit.
Okay, two things that MDI has as a you learned from MDI that no other VC firm you feel has. Something's different about MDI.
That synergy can have a tremendous impact to not just paper justification of why successful corporate would invest money, but can actually have a very transformative impact across the entire ecosystem.
Okay, the next IPO from your portfolio, except the ones that you declared. What do you think? Which one do you think? It's not file, it's just a fun question. Which one do you think will be the next IPO?
One of my fintechs. Definitely one of my fintechs.
One of your
maybe two of my fintechs.
Okay.
I cannot say the name, but yeah.
If not an investor or a founder, what would you be doing if you were not an investor or maybe a founder? What would you be doing?
Wow, I don't know. A lecturer, maybe a professor in a university. I don't know. Yeah.
And just the last one, any global, two global partners you would want to partner with for MDI? Or maybe one global partner and one local.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would love to be able to partner with Vertex to understand where to go, right? From a local one, I think some of the more professionally run local conglomerate is something that I would love to work with. I can't name names because if I name names, I'll alienate the other ones. But I really look forward to being able to enable their business opportunities with startups. I think there's a lot of opportunities we can build. And we certainly have 5 years worth of experience in building that bridge with proven numbers to show for it.
Okay, that's a wrap on your rapid fire. You did very well. Thank you so much, Donald. This was a really fun session, and thank you so much for joining us.
Very welcome, Asta. Thank you very much, everyone from Deal Street. Thank you for all your hard work in moving the ecosystem in the last few years. It's been an honor seeing Deal Street rise. Thank you.